Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Amber, StarCharge, and Nokian Tyres. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. This video is also brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and they are also a provider of residential or commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. This video is also brought to you by Nokian Tyres, a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantyres.com/EV.
Left foot hard on the brake, flooring it with the right, let's go! But then that brings us to the 4, but it's a bigger number, but a smaller car. So Jordan, I am confused. I gotta look it up.
First mod, add a little more Velcro there.
So you're gonna be like one-handed carrying your CCS plug over, and this is gonna happen. What does Geely think a car should be? Everyone's so privacy conscious, by the way. Who cares where I'm going?
It's just home, Starbucks, home, Starbucks, home.
Oh,
Stopped on a dime.
You can do heated seat and cooled.
Okay, this car wins.
Look at the largest Acura ever. The Godzilla Acura. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to an alleyway somewhere in Denver, Colorado. And welcome to a video driving the new Polestar 3 for the first time. Funny enough, I actually own a Polestar. You guys know this. I was able to drive it here and get in the Polestar spirit. And actually today, I was also driving a Polestar 2. So in one day, I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to drive a Polestar 1, a Polestar 2, and now soon, the Polestar 3 back there. That's what this video is on. Jordan joins me. It will be our first time driving the Polestar 3. There's a lot to get into. We did a full tour like almost 2 years ago, Jordan, and a lot of people were interested in that one. So now we have the opportunity to drive it. Any preliminary thoughts real quick up front from you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been over a year and a half since CES 2023 when you first saw it and did the little walk-around thing. But now we're seeing, I guess, US-spec. And yeah, it's weird to see our charging port and our little things on it. And there's some quirks, but mostly it seems pretty sweet. So I'm pretty excited. We got Dolby Atmos, maybe, and a lot of other.
Jordan's really excited about the sound system, like over 1,500 watts.
Yeah, it's like 1,600 watts, 25 speakers, Bowers and Wilkins.
Hell yeah.
This is a sound system with a battery on it.
So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the torque vectoring, mechanical torque vectoring rear differential, some of the power. Is it enough horsepower? It's 380 kilowatts. It's not like super crazy powerful, but I'm hoping it's enough to be sprightly. And I'm in the Polestar mood. I drove my car down here, actually just picked it up from service. So yeah, let's go in there. Come join me. And we have a huge shout out to Polestar Denver, by the way, for letting us make a film for you with the Polestar 3. Before we get into this car, just the whole launch of Polestar 3 has been confusing. It feels like it's taken forever for it to hit the market. Would you agree, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, when did they announce it? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. And, you know, this is built on SPA 2, which is a new architecture inside the Geely group. So maybe there was some software things to get sorted. My understanding is this car just went into the local Denver service center, got new software put on it. It does support over-the-air updates, at least when customer deliveries start, maybe as soon as a couple weeks from when this video goes up. And it seems to be running well. We've just been playing around with the software. We're going to take everyone on a tour of the software. We were not able to do that really in our first tour at CES. So we're going to do a full tour and a first drive of this car. Should mention, this is a US spec car. This car probably will be sold to someone at some point. It has a window sticker, which I can actually show you.
And we were kind of surprised to see this available for drives. I mean, I didn't know until our friend Logan mentioned he was coming to drive it. And I was like, wait, what? They're available for test drives? And I think he's regretting his i4 purchase now.
Well, I didn't know they were available for test drives because I came here 2 days ago when I dropped my car off for service.
Yep.
And it's just its yearly oil change. When you call Polestar and ask them to do an oil change, they're like, do you want to be transferred to Volvo? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, my Polestar says it needs an oil change. They're like, that's not possible.
Granted, your e-tron also needs an oil change, apparently.
Well, that one's really not possible. But I came here because I was in the area down here in Denver. I heard there was a Polestar 3 and 4. We'll show everyone them side by side out here in a moment. And then my friend Monica, who runs the space here, she's like, do you want to drive the 3? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because the press first drive for the US market was supposed to happen in Jackson Hole a month ago. And it's the first time I've ever really seen an automaker completely cancel a first drive, Jordan.
That was crazy. We were so excited too. We were going to take the Polestar 1 up
Yeah,
there.
we were going to drive the Polestar 1 up. But guess what? It's back on. And now we're able to drive it for the first time in September. But now I'm actually driving it for the first time with you.
So that'll be for the second time.
Yeah, that'll be for the second time. We're still going to that because I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions and want to meet with the engineers.
Right.
And there's still value. And it's not far. It's just up in Wyoming. So we'll go. So this is the Polestar 3 Launch Edition. And it's actually like fully VINed. This car's ready to rock and roll. It's 2025. It has Pilot Pack, Plus Pack, and Performance Pack, which is kind of almost fully loaded, and it's 86.3.
Okay.
So this is like, has everything, and that's not bad. I thought this thing was going to be touching 100 grand maxed out.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a lot of car, a lot of premium feel, and a premium look. This is going to turn a lot of heads.
It feels really nice, first of all. It feels way better than the pre-series car that I played around with at CES, which was very clearly a prototype. They've really nailed a lot on this car. And I think it's important to go into this review as like, I like what Polestar is doing. I like the vibe. I like the spaces. Even the lighting in here is really cool. Like, this is just their delivery bay. This is where I took delivery of my Polestar about a year and a bit ago from them. And it's just a really cool vibe. But what's interesting is this is actually a Polestar dealership. This is not like a manufacturer retail center. This is, I believe, McDonald Volvo Polestar. But then they're, Jordan, it feels like you're doing like a direct sales to manufacturer thing.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Not really. But it does feel similar to a Tesla showroom inside.
Yeah, exactly. There's like, no haggle pricing. It's a very Tesla-like experience, but it's through a dealer. And I have to go to the Volvo dealer to get my car serviced.
Right.
But it's a Polestar service center.
How do you feel about all that?
I'm confused. Speaking of confusion, I thought these were going to be built in South Carolina.
And meanwhile, this is China.
It has a Y VIN. This is a China-built car. And so it's been known for some time. This is number 709. Y VINs, L VINs are China cars. It's been known for some time that Polestar 3 was going to launch with China production, and then it will switch to South Carolina. My question is, I'm driving EX90 a couple weeks from now with you, Jordan.
Yep.
And we'll be able to post that video sometime in September. Is that car going to be China built?
And how are the tariffs going to affect everything?
That's the big question. What is even going on with tariffs and Polestar? My understanding is there's like almost no more Polestar 2s coming in. So actually, to clear up some confusion, let's take everyone through the model range, just so we can talk about the cars, their competitors, and then we'll go through the full tour on this, because they're just numbers to a lot of people who aren't in the Polestar nerd family. And even I have a really hard time distinguishing the difference between Polestar 3 and 4 especially. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll go on a full tour, and then we'll drive it, and it's going to be a long nerd video. But again, a huge shout out to Polestar Denver for letting us come here, test drive this car. By the way, you can just sign up and test drive these cars now, way ahead of the press first drive, so you can get your own review before we're able to officially drive the media review units, which is very, very rare to happen in the auto industry. I think it's quite exciting. So let's do that. What do you say, Jordan?
Let's do it. Polestar 1.
So it all started here with this one. And this car caused so much confusion when Polestar 1 launched. They're like, is it a Volvo? And that was the big question. And essentially, yes, this was a car. Polestar 1 was developed to be a Volvo sort of Swedish electric sports car, if you will. Nothing about it is actually really that sporty. It's very complicated. And Polestar is a fully electric brand now, but they ran, I think, 2 or 3 years of production of Polestar 1. And it's turbocharged, supercharged, combustion 4-cylinder engine, 2-liter, with an electric integrated starter generator attached to the basically output shaft with 2 individual motors in the back. It's very complicated. and it drives a little bit awkward when you drive it fast, but they're really cool, and I'm very lucky to have this one because very, very, very few of them came to the US, and I think at least here in Colorado, this is one of less than a handful that are here. So it doesn't make sense to spend too much time on this car. I've done a lot, but this is where Polestar started, and even now, Jordan, I think it's really funny. No one ever comes up to me about this car. It just flies completely under the radar until you find the one dude in like an 850 wagon that's like, oh my God.
This is like his dream other car.
Right.
I mean, Polestar was also originally like a line in Volvo cars.
Yeah, even going back, that was like the racing tuning division,
Yeah.
which then Volvo purchased, and then they made spicy versions of Volvos, which they still do, badged as Polestar engineered.
Confusing.
That's confusing. And I love, Polestar doesn't have anything in here right now, but it used to be like starting fresh, a brand with no heritage, and they were proud of that. But I'm like, what do you mean a brand with no heritage? You had V60 Polestar, one of my
heritage is
favorite cars.
awesome.
Yeah, Polestar like history is amazing. So it all came from performance. Okay, Polestar 1. Let's go see a Polestar 2, because I think that's the one most people are familiar with. Talk about how that car came to be, and then we'll show, of course, 3, you've already seen it, 4, full torque. And this is the second car that Polestar launched with, the Polestar 2. This one, if you're a viewer, you're probably familiar with this. They're extremely popular, I would say. Really a weird alternative to the Model 3. It was Volvo styling, Volvo build quality. Again, this was really part of that XC40, C40. This was going to be the Volvo sedan. And when Polestar launched, Volvo gave them the Polestar 1 and the Polestar 2 to launch this new brand, but it came with interesting upgrades over the Volvo, Jordan. It had like a Google operating system, which works really well, actually. It's like nice software, over-the-air software updates, phone is a key. It was a little bit techy, and I really liked the Polestar 2. I gave it a great review. I've been driving one earlier today, the last couple days while my car was in for service. They drive well. They're nice quality. They're not that roomy, very space inefficient. They don't charge nearly as well as a Model 3, but a lot of people bought these because they didn't want a Model 3 for some reason or another.
Yeah, like our old colleague Max had one very happily.
And Max hates Tesla.
It's already not very efficient, so then he threw like a bike rack and a roof box on the top. But it is the alt for the enthusiast, and that's what he would consider himself. And a lot of people do. A lot of people have these and love them.
Yeah, the great thermal management, like there's a lot to like about this car. They've recently done a update to this car as well, new battery packs, better performance at low state of charge, which is a real problem on the early battery packs, better charging even, better efficiency.
The base model is now rear wheel drive instead of front wheel drive.
How funny is that the early one, single motor, was front wheel drive. Then they said, oh no, we messed up. And then they made the single motor rear drive because it's just an electric motor. You can just install whichever one. That was a cool decision.
Yeah. Which is cool, yeah.
So Volvo single motors also now are rear drive, like XC40 and C40. So this is CMA. It's a combustion platform, actually, that's been adapted to electric. And really moving forwards, Jordan, is I think when we see the core Polestar models. So 3 and 4 are from the ground up, designed to be Polestar vehicles, along with some other Geely models from other brands like Zeekr and others. But to me, this was like the Volvo era ends.
Yeah.
And then we move into Polestar 3. We're going to head into Polestar 3 in just a moment, but I should also mention that SPA 2, the platform that is built on, also underpins the EX90 from Volvo. So that and the EX90 are sister cars. This is a 5-seater, the Volvo's a 7-seater. So different approaches, but similar underpinnings from an electrical architecture and chassis construction standpoint. So we've already seen the 3, of course, but then that brings us to the 4, which dimensionally is very similar to the 3, but it's a bigger number, but a smaller car. So Jordan, I am confused.
Yeah, so I mean, it's simple. This one has a smaller battery, but is more powerful. This one has a bigger battery, slightly less power.
Oh, makes so much sense. Thank you.
And then, yeah, it goes 1, 2, 4, 3. No, wait, 1, 6, 4. In terms of size.
There's also a 5 coming.
Yeah.
But in terms of the models that are here. So what's up with this car? This is the Polestar 4. This is actually not very far away from hitting the market. And kind of, I think, actually was done before 3.
Yeah.
Like, I think
it already hit the market in some markets.
Yeah, like in China, you can get this car.
Yeah, and I love this car.
So this is built on which platform?
Well, that's the other thing, is they have as many platforms as Audi does.
Yeah, yeah, right. So this is built on the same platform as like Zeekr 001.
Right. Which is another SEA dash something, I think.
I got to look it up. I've had to pull up notes, Jordan. This is technically called SEA1, which is built on 001 for Zeekr, Volvo EM90, weirdly, which is their big van thing.
Right.
But this is a shrunk version of that. But in terms of electrical architecture and everything, this is that. And the Zeekr 001 is pretty cool. So this is SEA1. And just to walk our way backwards, that is SPA2. Then there was SPA1, which was Polestar 1, and then CMA, which is Polestar 2.
Right. So 4 cars, 4 platforms. It's just like Audi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the correct approach, but the thing is, it's not just Polestar. They're part of an overarching group, and so different cars can pull from different ones.
Right.
This, we haven't driven Polestar 4.
Yeah, I've ridden in an early production, pre-production one.
Okay, and you have a video on this car.
Yeah, very prototypey. So I had a whole walk around of this car. I mean, this is US spec, so it's cool to see the orange side markers that are not ugly.
And they don't actually light up with the hazard light, so I can put the hazards on as an example, Jordan, but look, they don't light up.
You're right.
That's weird, isn't it?
That is weird.
So I noticed that the other day when I came here, but this is a great looking car.
It really looks fantastic.
In photos, I was like, this car's stupid. Why wouldn't you just get the 3? Like, this is going to be a little bit less expensive, a little bit less premium for sure than this.
Yep.
Which this is, what's really going to compete with this? This is nicer than Polestar 2.
I mean, so I should say, Logan came and test drove the Polestar 3, which is how I found out they were doing test drives. And then he's looking at this and he's thinking maybe this is what he would have picked instead of the i4.
Okay, so i4 competitor.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. I mean, it's more spacious though, well, especially the back seat.
Yeah.
Very spacious.
Wow, yeah, totally. So this looks cool. Like I said, Jordan already has a full tour on it. Perhaps we'll do another update video on this one because it's a US spec car.
Yeah.
Coming near soon. This is the big controversial part of just being rear camera only, no glass. And they really just did it to prove a point because this is like, you can just put glass here.
Yeah. And I made a point in my video, I was like, are there any Tesla nose cone people who are gonna like wrap this black to look like a glass?
Oh, so this is the button to open up the trunk.
That's pretty good.
Okay,
Boot space.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's significantly smaller than Polestar 3 though, inside, but dimensionally exterior it's not. But weirdly, this makes more power.
And I wouldn't even say significantly, like they really are kind of close.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're focused on Polestar 3 in this video, but perhaps you'll see another video with this car, a full tour, coming soon to you. So let's get back to Polestar 3 now that we've walked through the full lineup and you understand how confusing Polestar is, because I'm just more confused than when we started. History lesson done, guys. It's time to get into Polestar 3, a full tour, tip to tail before the drive. First of all, styling, I think, knocked it out of the park. It's got a little Chinese vibe to it, a little bit of weird things. Of course, we were just playing around with Lotus Electra before we came over here, and there is some of this, like, just, I would say, experimental looking elements to this car.
Yeah, and Polestar is very much about this smart zone sensor cluster thing, and each car does it a little differently. The Polestar 3 and now the new 2 like have this like very distinct section, whereas the Polestar 4 has more smooth lines molded into the body better. Whereas this one has like an air curtain thing that goes in the front and the rear. It's kind of interesting.
All I care about is that people buy these so they can make the Roadster,
Right.
because that's cool.
We want Polestar 6.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Wasn't
It was originally the O2 concept. Now it's called Polestar 6. Yeah,
Thank you,
right.
Polestar, for making things easy.
6, which is smaller than 5 and 3 and 4. And
It was supposed to be in order that the models came out, but then the 4 came out before the 3.
right.
Because product planning is hard. And I mean, honestly, it's been really hard, especially with everything going on. So, okay, interesting design here. It's like a new take on the Thor's hammer. LED headlights, of course. This arrow thing I really like. Colton's gonna hate detailing this under here. That's gonna be really interesting to see a video from him. But you can also see some air shutters on the bottom to let in cooling for the high voltage battery pack. I'm gonna pop the front trunk. Speaking of the battery pack, let me just hit you with the specs really quick. Usable and gross capacities are known, but Polestar only communicates 111 kilowatt hours, right, Jordan?
Which is the gross.
Which is the gross. So usable is like 107, 108.
107. Yep, they claim 107. They even mention it on their website, I think.
Okay, but why did they put 111 here? if you can't use it?
They just want you to know how.
Like what those theoretical...
Right, so
like,
that's what the motors can do, but we know they could do more. They just haven't clocked to that. So why don't
380
they have the full max output on the motor?
yeah, so they've chosen the two different numbers with two different strategies because Polestar seems to be a confused brand. As I am very confused. Under the front trunk, pretty okay. Compared to Lucid Gravity, which I understand is a bigger vehicle than
Right.
this, but EX90 and Lucid Gravity are going to be direct competitors, and this is built on the same thing as EX90. So this kind of blends the line of big SUV, BMW iX territory.
Yeah.
It's between Model Y and Model X. It's like a weird space that I think is a really nice size and works really well for me, actually. If I needed my own personal like little SUV to rip around Colorado, this would be very high on the contender list because I love the way it looks. I love the materials. This is totally fine to put, you know, a charging cable. It comes with a 40 amp EVSE for the US market, by the way. That's pretty rare to find that. So you can get a NEMA 1450 and get a pretty good charging speed, and a little tire, you know, mobile tire thing that's Velcroed into place.
Two tiny little things. First mod, add a little more Velcro there.
I would put a little bit more
carving.
a little bit more Velcro, and then you just have a sea of plastic, which, you know, SPA 2 I don't think supports combustion. Maybe extended range EVs though.
Maybe in other markets, yeah.
Yeah, because it's such a global product line, it's possible that this does support combustion, but I thought SPA 2 was just electric.
And yeah, I think it is, and it's just not, I mean, there's smaller vehicles with bigger fronts, so the front was clearly not the focus.
One thing that's nice, I didn't show you guys initially, but the latch to open up the front trunk is right here because otherwise you'd get your finger stuck.
Yeah, there's no way to access it.
Like you can't get in.
You have to go in through here with a long tool.
So they put the latch right here, right on the side, which is very convenient to open up the hood, which is great. Honestly, the US-spec cars with the orange side markers do not bother me at all. They did a really nice job with that. I mean, I think it would look cleaner if this just wasn't here at all, but
Yeah.
certainly doesn't bother me whatsoever. This one being the fully spec performance ones on 22s,
Yep.
and it's on a Polestar specific Pirelli P0 adapted tire. So it has the electric elements, it's got the noise requirements, the response, the longevity, the every, you know, compromise Polestar wanted in their performance tire is in here. And one thing we know about the lead chassis engineer, Joaquin, seems like a really cool dude. He's hardcore. And so, you know, he's done some pretty incredible things with the Volvo chassis, which were like, you know, the SPA platform of Polestar 1, that's like an XC90, and they made that car handle really well. So, you know, the chassis engineers at Polestar are no joke. I love that they supported Misha for a really long time at the Nürburgring doing laps in Polestar 1 and Polestar 2 to fine-tune the software and dial in the cars for performance, which leads me to think like this actually, all the learnings that they had from the performance stuff could actually make this a really sporty and fun handling electric SUV.
Throw this in the ring, yeah.
So the performance pack and the regular long range has a huge range difference, Jordan. It's like almost 30-mile difference, but it's just wheel and tire.
So is that, I mean, I don't know how that's calculated, but is it just you might drive the performance harder and then...
No, it's just wheel and tire
So that's
cause
how
more
much
drag.
effect that really has.
Yep.
Which is pretty dramatic.
In the EPA cycle, yeah, absolutely. And they're the same motors, dual permanent magnet motors, but the performance pack gets 20 more kilowatts. So instead of 360 kilowatt total power output, it's 380 in this one, which I think's honestly plenty fine. In terms of charging performance, this is where things get confusing, and we'll probably have to come back and do a charging test on this car. Perhaps Polestar Denver can run it down with a bunch of test drives and we can come and do a charging test, because it has a 48 amp onboard charger, which is great. So, you know, you get 10 plus kilowatts at home. You put in a level 2 EVSE like this. It doesn't have to be the charge point unit, but it's a great unit. And you know, you'll be full every morning. Polestar recommends a 90% daily charging limit, which is one of the higher ones.
Especially with only a 4 kilowatt hour buffer.
Yeah, so I would probably do a little bit less than that.
And you would do 50.
I would do 50. One interesting thing on XC40, C40, and Polestar 2, there's a chemical stress point in the battery at 70%. So if you own one of those vehicles, don't leave them at 70% state of charge, because that's actually harder for it than 100% is what one of the Volvo battery engineers told me.
Someone's going to win trivia with that.
So you either do 80 or 50 or like, you know, whatever. But don't leave it at 70% if you have a Polestar.
69.
Yeah, too close. I need to honestly learn more about how do we find out the chemical stress points of other cars,
right?
Because that's something I would want to know. But you'll get more degradation there. So I don't know what this is. They recommend 90% every day. I would say 80 is probably fine, or 50 for the daily, which is what I always do, and juice it to 100 for a road trip. What's confusing, is this charge port flap, which is clearly not designed well. It looks really kind of nice, actually, Jordan, like how they really thought about this. But then you have to pull this stupid flap out, and it's going to be in the way. So you're going to be like one-handed carrying your CCS plug over, and this is going to happen.
So day one, you buy the car, you pull this out to charge, and then you keep pulling until it breaks off, and then you're good for the rest of the ownership.
That's literally what I did at the first charge with the VinFast.
That's right.
I just get this thing out of
and
here.
Francie kept the thing in the door pocket. It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there because we have to return the lease with that. So that's annoying. I just wish they could go more BMW style with a flap. And, I get why you want to cover these pins. You don't really want them getting dirty. That could lead to more resistance and issues with charging. But I just don't like this implementation of a flap. So here's the confusing part. This car launches with CCS. It will get J3400 NACS in the future, and it will get supercharging access in the very near future, because Polestar and Volvo are very high on the list to get access to supercharging. Polestar claims 250 kilowatt peak charging with this car, Jordan.
How can they do that?
It's not a high voltage car. It's a 400 volt-ish architecture. We don't know the actual voltage of this battery pack. We have to do some testing.
So it could be above 400, I guess, but seems like everyone else who's above 400 just says 800.
Right, yeah, like EV9 is like, you can get it down to like 460 dead, and they're like, it's 800 volts. We're like, it's not. Macan, same thing, you can get that down pretty low, and they claim 800 volt as well. It's just the class of car that it's in, but this is a 400 volt class of vehicle. And the reason I question this 250 kilowatt charging maximum capability is every public CCS station, except for EVgo high-power Deltas, are limited to 500 amps. That's sort of the general agreed upon maximum output. There will be some 600 amp stations coming with Alpitronic Hyper 400 and others, but it's like any EA 350 kilowatt charger, which is where most people are going to go, Jordan. You're only getting 200, maybe 210 out of this car if it's a little bit above 400 volts, because it's 500 amp capped.
Yeah, right. For those who don't know, 400 volts times 500 amps.
200 kilowatts. Yeah. And so really, I thought they would do 250 kilowatts only when they got NACS, because superchargers will go up to 700 amps currently. Yep. So anyway, that's just confusing to me. The nerds will get it. If you're not a nerd, it doesn't matter. Plug it in. It's going to charge really fast. It's like 10 to 80 in a half hour.
Yeah, not bad.
Which is, on a big battery like this, pretty acceptable. Can't wait to see how it does in the 10% challenge, but nothing about this charging performance is class leading. It's not an 80 amp onboard charger for AC. It's not, crazy charging power, but Geely knows how to do crazy charging. Electra and Emea from Lotus, really, really fast charging performance on those cars. That is built on SEAP. And this is on SPA2.
Yeah.
So different architecture. We've been doing this all day. Okay, the back of this car, I don't think we've shown the viewers enough. I absolutely love the styling on this car. They have nailed it.
They went with kind of the wagon look, which is nice. Lifted wagon, very XC70 vibe to me, just looks really, really great.
There is almost no critique I would give. The front arrow thing is like a little bit weird, that, lip, that active, or I guess the opening in the front.
Yeah.
The speed hole. But, but I like it. It's cool. It's interesting. It's a talking point. Back here, no notes from my side. This is pure perfection. I love the detail in this light, this LED cross car light here, the turn signals. Let me actually hit the brakes and the turn signals for everyone so you can see kind of what this looks like. So this is the brake light, and here's the turn signals.
Wow, so they do turn amber. That's great.
Yes, this is a US-spec car with amber lights. And it's really hard for US cars to get the amber light because we require such a huge amount of light fill for the turn signal. I was talking to the head of Audi Lighting about this, which is why they use red lights, because they need to tap into the extra real estate of the brake light.
Yep.
But Polestar figured it out, and it looks great. So all the amber turn signal nerds in the comments.
And data shows amber is safer, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Jason Camisa drives that point home. He's done a lot of research on that. So
Okay, great. Shout out to Jason.
Did the
He's
car
awesome.
you look at have a rear wiper?
I don't remember.
I don't think it did, because you were making a point of like an air curtain that would hopefully take care of that.
So it's got a rear wiper.
So maybe that's been added.
We knew Polestar wasn't going to mess this one up. This is a Swedish car.
It's lovely.
I mean, it's a Chinese car, but it's,
Right, yeah.
it's like IKEA.
Right.
Let's go into the trunk space here. So, first of all, you're right. This is bigger than Polestar 4, but not by too much.
Not huge margins.
But you get a lot more height than Polestar 4.
Yeah.
So, we really shouldn't compare this to Polestar 4. This really should be compared to BMW iX. I think that realm. Q6 e-tron.
Yeah,
Macan.
big two-row.
It's like, it's bigger than Macan for sure. So it's
Yeah.
like between Macan and the upcoming electric Cayenne.
Yeah.
But it fills this like sweet spot that I really like.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Okay, trunk space. Looking great. We've got this blocker situation. That works well. Really nice. We have a underfloor storage, which I guess I couldn't show you in the full tour.
Yeah, and that's substantial, honestly. Like a
That's
lot
pretty
of
good.
space.
Yeah, that goes pretty deep. And you can even have like this shelf approach where I can put things here, or I think I can even put this here as a divider, so you can put a
Nice.
stroller down here.
Or just divide your groceries up. Yeah, a lot of options there.
A lot of really well thought out options, and there's even little tie down hooks here. On top of that, Jordan, which is a big thing for me in having dogs, I can actually lower the rear suspension if you can show it being dumped out.
Pretty quick, actually.
So you can Carolina squat this thing so I can get Ellie in the back easier.
Nice.
So is it actually squatted? Yes. This looks great. If you can set this as your standard ride height.
Yeah, just drive around with this thing slammed on these 22s.
Yeah, basically just unplug the air compressor so it can never fill itself up. Ride on the bump stops and you're good. And then I can raise it back up, or I assume automatically will raise itself up when we start driving
That's
as well.
decently fast.
Yeah, Volvos have had this feature, but it's a really nice function of having the air suspension. Nice power trunk as well. Actually, really quick response to feeling my weight. I want to throw the back seats down. I don't
Okay.
know if I was able to do that in the review
I don't
before.
think so either, yeah.
The door handles feel good, Jordan.
Yeah, and they pop out.
Dude,
Okay.
the seat goes pretty far flat. Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
Okay, car camping machine this is.
Okay, it's not perfectly flat, but it's 1 degree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as flat as you could ever
Put your
be.
feet down here, you lay back there, look through the roof at the stars.
Yeah, there's also a ski pass-through, which is
Yep.
cool. Dude, that is a lot of space.
This is great. This is a great in-between car. It's not like the really compact SUVs that we see everywhere.
You know, usually when we get to a car, to me, like we have to review the total package. We're looking at, here's what it does well, here's what it doesn't do well. There's something about this car that regardless of the specs, from the design, the material choice, the build quality, the solidity I get with the doors, this,
If only the new Rivian door sounded like that.
Rivian, take some notes. They should just copy their old homework though. Rivian Gen 1 was good. This like captures like a little bit of my emotion. I feel like having Polestar 1 and this is a perfect two-car
It
solution.
really covers a lot of bases.
I really like it. I'm going to go, so I'm 6'1", 180 centimeters, 180, something like that, 185, I don't know. But everyone always yells at me that I never say my height. So I'm going to just adjust. Oh wait, I don't have the keys for it, so I can't adjust. But I'm pretty close to where I would
Yeah,
sit.
yeah.
I just wanted to show this is pretty normal. Let me give you the back seat review. I think because this is built on a similar platform to EX90, which is the big Volvo 3-row, and this is only 2 rows, you get a huge second row. Because they don't put the 3rd row in this one. Dude,
Yeah,
look at this.
Plenty of space.
Holy smokes. This is like amazing, and great headroom as well.
Yep.
Really good headroom. So this car is big, it's airy. I've never seen such a nice center console in the back of a car. Look at this.
Wow. And that actually, that feels a little nicer than the Electra.
Yeah, we just sat in the back of Electra, which is, again, different platform, but same family. This feels just as nice as the Electra.
Yeah.
That has, a little bit more bespoke materials
Slightly
and stuff.
nicer,
but,
yeah.
I have a little screen back here with heated seats, a 3-zone. I can adjust the climate control.
Yep.
So I could go full cold, full rip, 2 USB-C ports back here as well, and a massive glass roof.
That's great.
Again, no complaints, no notes, B-pillar vents, you know who that's going to keep happy. And although they do seem to be angled to the windows for defogging,
And there's no way to really
you can't adjust
that.
them.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, Alyssa, close. But we've got these big vents right here in the center.
Yeah.
And I just want to check. Yeah. So the door doesn't block these.
Okay.
So this is just to keep the windows from fogging up. That's what you get when you winter test your cars.
Wow. very Polestar Volvo of them.
So everything so far from here to here is pretty perfect. I'm confused about the charging,
Right.
but things are looking good overall. I wish it was, if they put the Electra battery in here, the high voltage thing, it'd be the end all be all
That would have
market
been
leader.
incredible, but I guess at the moment you kind of have to almost double your budget for that.
So speaking of budget, just before we go up front, because we're going to go really in depth on all the software and everything up front, Jordan, this car being built in China, I don't know if it's subject to a 100% import tariff. No one can tell me.
Yeah, and they may still be figuring that out. Kind of like we heard Lotus is still figuring that out. It might have a workaround.
Yeah,
so
we heard from the Lotus dealer there's going to be a workaround, and all we could imagine was that they were going to disassemble Electras, put them in shipping containers, and reassemble them in a shed.
Shit, very Lotus.
I don't think Polestar's quite like that. But
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know. I think so what I thought was going to happen was, we have this 100% import tariff on Chinese-built cars. That, I think, has stopped Polestar 2s from coming into our market right now.
Yep.
This car, the early ones, are built in China until the South Carolina factory comes online, which I'm sure they're working to do as soon as possible. So I have no idea what that means. Polestar claims there's a bunch at port that are ready to be delivered as soon as, weeks from now, mid-August, early September. I think it's just a wait and see.
Yep.
If you can get one, you're certainly not getting a tax credit or anything like that on this car, but if you can get one, get it, because there might be a delay after these initial cars. I don't know.
And it already seems like a pretty decent bargain. I mean, 75 to 80, mid 80s.
I think if you're not getting the tax credit either way, which a lot of people who are shopping for an $80-something thousand vehicle make more than $150,000 a year or $300 jointly. There's a lot of restrictions to getting the tax credit.
Yeah.
You go for the full Big Daddy performance, and this seems like so much car for 80 grand. Like this could have had a 95 price tag on it.
Right.
And it feels like that level of quality.
Yeah.
So basically all we will say is we don't know what's happening with the Polestar 3 in terms of deliveries in our market in the US. So stay tuned to the Out of Spec podcast, because it's something we're going to stay on top of and cover as we hear new news. Should we pop over to the front seats now, Jordan?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, so you hit the passenger seat. I'm going to jump in the driver's seat. We got a lot of software stuff to dig into.
Such a satisfying door.
Dude, this is so nice in here.
The seats hold me very well.
So speaking of the seats, the material, they'll tell you, is 100% traced Napa leather. And it tells you how many kilograms of CO2 equivalent.
Animal welfare secured.
It says it on every seat.
Wow.
Just in case you're curious. Why?
I don't know.
It has speakers in the headrest too.
Very eco mode. Yeah, 25 speakers.
Yeah, speakers up here.
It's fantastic.
Can you find them all?
Well, there's actually 3, I think, in the headrest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're just,
They got this
kind
nice
of
metal
everywhere.
grate, actual metal.
and that's the famous Bowers and Wilkins thing
I
that
love that.
a lot of Bowers and Wilkins systems have.
Yes. So we're going to do sound system demos and then give you our quick review of them. Just sitting in here, I have to get all set up and everything later on, but just nice steering wheel, thin wheel, and not a lot of padding, which is exactly what I want.
Yep.
This is a much nicer steering wheel than my Polestar 1, which is like kind of thick and annoying. This is like, oh, someone who wanted to drive a car, put a thin wheel on here so you can get as much road feedback in through your hands.
Yep.
So that's what I like about this car, is it really does seem to have some sporting character along with the luxury, dual valve air suspension with adaptive damper and all those things. Materials are almost amazing, except for this piece here. A little hollow, a little
Feels kind of
plasticky.
hollow, yeah.
It is.
But I love the manual vents. They feel premium. They don't feel like I was gypped out of having some fancy electronic vents. That's nice.
Yeah, I've never liked really any electronic vent.
Nope.
I think Cybertruck is actually the best that I've experienced because the steering wheel has enough room to let it through.
Yeah, true.
But this is nice. I just like having manual vents.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. But it's pretty minimal in here. Like there's just a couple window controls, which I think, Jordan, unfortunately, it has the ID4 problem.
Oh,
There's only 2 window switches, and then you have to select rear. So
that's annoying.
EX30 also had that and pissed me off to no end.
The Electra did the opposite, where like every door can control every window.
Right, Electra had dual switches for each door in the back to
Right.
control left and right. So that's what I'm actually a little bit confused about. What does Geely think a car should be?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because their cars are totally different. Like EX30 doesn't even tell you charging speed,
Wow.
but then this does.
Yeah,
So
they're not really talking to each other.
I feel like they could just benefit a lot from just putting people in the same building. And that's might be a cultural issue that we're just starting to see with, not in terms of them being in a different country, but just in terms of a workplace culture. We see a lot of this inside like Volkswagen Group and GM and others where they're not cohesive on everything.
Right.
Cool material up here.
Yep.
Soft touch. It's not necessarily premium. It's not really
Feels
leather.
recycled.
Yeah, everything in here is recycled or whatever, but it's cool.
Yeah.
And it looks really nice. And I think this is going to be hard wearing. I have a bright head-up display in front of me. I've got this really cool gauge cluster. I've got basically the same stocks from EX30, weirdly. It's weird to compare this to, like, you just start seeing stuff that you notice in other cars. But everything is pretty much done in here in the software screen, which is a nice screen, Jordan.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And it's pretty snappy. Look at that. You could not ask for any more response than that.
A little bit, but yeah.
How? I can't, it's following my finger perfectly. How could you get better? That's perfect.
No, things could be faster, but that's fine. I'm really nitpicking.
Jordan's very hard on vehicle software. I'm just like glad it's doing what I asked it to do. So I guess to walk everyone through, we are actually in a place with no cell service at the moment, so we can't show route planning. Apparently it doesn't do route planning.
We'll do
if
that
we
on our route, I guess.
let's just put in Las Vegas really quick. Yeah, like it's like offline, tap to retry, and it's just doing the local maps that it's loaded. So they do let you pre-download maps if you know you're going to an area without cell service.
Because it's really just Google Maps, which is nice.
Yeah, and so it's the same system really as Polestar 2, as GM stuff now, and it works really well in those cars. When we take it out for a drive, we'll put in Las Vegas, which is the typical trial, and see how it does. Down here, you have like Bluetooth and phone, but I think these can be adjusted somehow based off of whatever's going on. So you noticed that this was like sound system earlier, Jordan?
I think that's all it was showing earlier. Well, actually, yeah, now they're showing the same thing basically, which is kind of weird.
Well, this is phone calls, and that's media from your phone.
So I don't really know.
Okay. Then you have some more apps down here, which I guess some of which can be adjusted or left around. And then you've got your main controls that never move down here. So you have your hazard lights, except there's a redundant physical hazard light button, because I think you do, by law, need a physical button.
Yeah.
Up here, also, while we're here, you have some lighting controls. You have redundant defrosting controls in case the screen doesn't work. And that seems to be about it.
That's pretty cool.
That's nice. I think this is a nice touch, this, defrost function.
Oh, just immediately throws it on. So it's like full defrost right now.
So you can, like, if you're a super, I don't know, quick person at getting in the car, it can be like, drive, defrost, go.
New test.
and then go like Ace Ventura out the window while you're waiting for the ice to clear. But with an electric car, this car has an app.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has phone as a key. I imagine it does, because Polestar 2 has that.
I would hope so.
I'm sure it does. And you can precondition it and do all that stuff.
Good app, and you can go into Google Maps on your phone, send an address to the car. Like, it works pretty well.
Okay, great. Love that. So here we have all of the applications. That was an interesting glitch.
Yeah, that was.
But it recovered.
Okay.
So you've got Bluetooth, radio, phone, range, and trip. Let's just go in here really quick. So you've got like dynamic range, which in Polestar speak means guessometer.
Yep.
Not rated range calculation. In Polestar 2, they let you choose, but here they seem to only show dynamic range. I don't see where they let you choose. They show that we're using 1 kilowatt right now. They show the history of this car, which has reached 100 miles an hour twice.
Maybe more than that. We're not sure.
It says 100 plus. We would never do that.
Right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe we're wrong, Jordan. Maybe that's the consumption of... Yeah, so I think this gray line is the speed. It's reached 75, which is the posted legal limit. Never mind.
That makes more sense.
That makes more sense, because I'm like, how can you go that fast in Denver? I mean, we can try.
How can you go that fast 3 miles from here?
Yeah, exactly. That's really not possible. So anyway, okay, that's consumption, and the gray line is speed. My Polestar 1 actually shows me all this in the app.
Interesting.
So that actually has a great app for that car. So, Polestar and connectivity seem good. And this, for the nerds, you will love this. Since last charge, since last reset, and current trip. The 3 things we want in every freaking trip odometer.
Yep.
It's amazing.
What a concept.
I know. Why, like Tesla got it so right, and everyone copies Tesla on so many other things except this, and this is the stuff we want other automakers to copy. Thankfully, Polestar got it nailed here.
Good for them.
Awesome. Love that. If I come in here, we can see dynamic range. It's a 300-mile calculation.
Wow.
Okay. And this says how it basically calculates a lot of its stuff. There's so much deep information in this system. It's really nice. It's a Google-based operating system, but it works pretty well. You have Google Maps, Messages, YouTube built in, and then you have a bunch of different settings. And in here, there's a lot to get into, Jordan. And this is in the car app. Before we get there, I just want to talk about climate really quick. So we have keep climate functionality, no dog mode, which is annoying, but I'm glad there's at least keep climate. I really would have loved to see a pet mode of some kind. There is a quiet, balanced, and powerful setting for the automatic climate, which is great. You have that 3-row, that third zone where I can control temperature and heated seats. Again, I have the car set in automatic mode right now. If I go manual, I can actually get a slider for how much fan I want, but we'll go auto. There's an eco climate as well. Seems really good.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of air quality stuff in here. Inside is good, outside unavailable. Maybe when we start driving, it can pick up outside air. There's also, just some more information on your UG/M3.
I'm not sure what that metric is.
I've never seen that before.
But it's some sort of air quality measurement.
Oh, we got one of them. Is that good or bad? It says good.
Okay.
Well, back to 0.
We're not dying.
I don't know.
It is smoky outside, so...
So, like Mercedes and BMW also have similar stuff, but they don't measure it in UGs. They measure it in particulates.
Yeah.
In a different formula. I don't know anything about air quality.
Another thing to learn.
Gosh, we got to learn a lot to review a car. Okay, and then you've got like automatic.
I love 3 levels of steering wheel heat.
Yes.
Almost no one does that.
So I guess if I'm just sitting in the car, what's the quickest way to actually turn on the heated seat and steering wheel? I think it would be come here and boom.
Yeah.
You can do a heated seat and cooled.
Okay, this car wins. How soon can you buy it?
That's all I ever want in a car. It's so weird, right? Because you, right. But I want the heating portion without the sweat.
Yeah. Okay. That's fantastic.
A lot of German cars let you do this as well. So like Audi, BMW, others let you go both.
There we go.
No heated steering wheel for your side, Jordan.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, they didn't even install it.
No heated glove box? What the heck?
So actually, Toyota BZ4X has the heated glove box.
Really?
Yeah, it has radiant heating.
Wow.
So does the BMW iX, but I love that the BZ4X has radiant heating for your legs.
But no cooled phone.
No.
The BZ4X literally is an oven. You just put your phone in the oven, close the door. It's really bad.
Lithium explodes, car burns down. Okay, what else do we have in here? We've got, this is on me for hitting the buttons way too fast. So we've got shortcuts of overall brightness. We've got our lighting controls. We've got, there we go. Okay, so we can choose 2 different colors of interior. Really not Mercedes here.
No.
If you just zoom in on this Bowers & Wilkins, Jordan, I'm going to change it from white to gold. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Whoa.
There we go.
And it actually does it all the way in here,
It's kind of orange, but yeah, all the little thin accent lighting through to the back seats as well.
I'll hit gold again so you can see that.
Yep.
But only the uppers. The lowers stay white.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, interesting. So you've got your primary lighting. This is where you do like auto lights, all that stuff. Rear fog, display brightness, and I can adjust my head-up display with the steering wheel controls here. What's cool is it's capacitive. As I fly my finger over these, it tells me what I'm adjusting, and this leaves room for software updates. So these controls can do anything as the vehicle improves with software updates over time, which I think is cool. Really nice clicky buttons, by the way. I like this.
That's good.
A lot of people don't like capacitive buttons on a wheel.
There's a way to do it better or worse.
And they're far enough away where even if you're like going around a corner, I don't think you're really going to brush these.
Okay, that's good.
There's inset. Like the Volkswagen is known for like every time you turn the wheel, you hit the heated steering wheel.
Yeah.
Not the case here. So I think that's done well. You've got rain sensitivity adjustments. I've got all of my seat adjustments, folding mirrors, all that stuff. Now I can lower the seat down all the way. So what's weird is I had to go into this menu to adjust my seat, Jordan.
Weird.
But I can get low.
Which is another thing you care about.
Why do
fairly
I
heavily.
love this car so much? I really hope it drives well because I'm loving everything in here already. So where did we go again? Yeah, driver adjustments, steering wheel. Okay, so now I can go out all the way, up and down. I would say it feels pretty good to me. Maybe it doesn't come out far enough from my point of view. Yeah, that's all it'll do, but that's fine. And then I can adjust my head-up display. Okay, glove box opens here. Let's show everyone.
Very
Nice glove
slow.
box, but it's felt material on the inside.
Yep.
Is it a heavier glove box than
Slightly
the...
heavier than the Electra.
Okay.
Just like an ounce.
Okay, then we got a bunch of other settings in here.
Oh gosh.
We've got creep mode on and off, ESC on, and sport mode. I don't think there's a way to fully disable ESP.
Probably not.
There is like an internal mode, but we got to ask Joaquin how the heck you do that because I want to drift this thing. Raised suspension and hill descent, so that's like your off-road mode, and it'll go up to almost 10 inches of ground clearance. We took a photo of it. We'll insert that here. There's like a range, power delivery, and a performance, which makes almost no sense to me because it's dual permanent magnet motor, and I don't think there's any clutch disconnects.
Would one just lower your peak power?
Maybe, but maybe just like elongates the throttle pedal a bit. You can have light, standard, and firm, and all of the animations for these are great, by the way.
Yeah.
I love how they do this. It's so great. And then you've got suspension feel, so you can go standard, a little bit more force, or firm.
Wow. Their software is incredible.
This is really good. And, you've got your charge limits in here. So again, they recommend a 90% daily charging limit, 48 amp onboard charger, which is great. You have your driver assistance, so pilot assist, steering and lane change assist on. We'll try that out today, hopefully. Bunch of other good stuff in here. Anything else in charging I missed? Nope. Then there's the sound system, which is, this is what's so important to you and me, Jordan, in a car.
Yeah.
We actually prefer different things in our sound systems, but
Yep.
it seems like this car is going to give us the range that we're looking for. So you can have a studio, more, I would say, reference quality sound. Then you can go for a stage and develop your own room, which this is not unique. Even my Polestar 1 has a lot of this stuff. And then you can go to the Gothenburg Concert Hall. There's also the deep equalizer levels here. Is this enough equalizer for you?
Yeah, 9-band is great. I mean, even a 6 or a 5 is fine. Just too many cars only have treble bass. Some have mid and treble bass. But I like having, this granularity of control really lets you dial it in. Plus, it's already a good system. So I'm totally fine with that.
Great. And then you've also got volumes for each individual
Everything.
thing. I love this software.
Very,
Really love it.
very configurable.
You've got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. This is where you hook up your phone and everything. You've got the Google permissions so that, someone can steal your data. Everyone's so privacy conscious, by the way. Like even like friends of mine that are like, why would you use Google Maps? I'm like, who cares where I'm going?
It's just home, Starbucks, home, Starbucks, home, Starbucks.
They're like, this guy's out of his mind. So I don't know. Whatever. Controls, you've got tow mode, jack mode, all standard stuff with air suspension. This is so it doesn't push against you as you're raising the car. Just basic functions, nothing really crazy here. And that's kind of it. And then you've got like your service stuff, which weirdly it wants service like every 2 years, it looks like.
Yeah, 2 years or 20,000 miles, basically.
Yeah, actually a
roughly.
little bit less than that.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I don't know. I wonder what the service items are.
Huh, that's what the key looks like. And this is where the key goes.
Oh, so it's an indent for that.
Yeah, we thought this is the wireless charger, by the way. But we didn't know what this thing in the middle was. We thought it might be cooling, but
There are vents, and the key is smaller than the vents, but I don't really understand.
why is the phone charger not working?
Oh, it is now.
Oh, okay, just takes a minute.
But yeah, there's no sort of active cooling, so this will just heat up real quick here, and then
And also it's not locked in. So if you floor it, this is now a projectile.
into your middle back seat
So
occupant.
that's a bad phone situation.
I love this screen though. Check. All tires are okay.
Thanks. Okay. I think that's kind of it for software, Jordan.
Yeah.
Can we go drive this thing?
Yeah.
Because what we want to do is we just want to go into settings, drive, which that should really not be 2 clicks away, but whatever. We're going to drive it first in like full comfort mode. So light steering, standard suspension, ESP on. We'll keep the power delivery in full because we're at 92%. And I'm nervous to drive it.
Because you have this on a pedestal, don't you?
I'm like, why would you buy any other car? Maybe it's just like something about this vibe, the look. It's premium. It's not pretentious. The materials are great. It's kind of cool. It's like not that sporty. It's not that great on range. Have we even mentioned the range? Yeah, we did at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
275-ish EPA.
Yeah, maybe up to 300 or something with the right.
But I'm not really a design guy, but there's something about the combination of the design, the materials, the build quality, the thoughtfulness of the software that's really captured me.
Yeah, and if I could nitpick, which is not, a lot of people think I complain too much, but I'm just like, I wish this wasn't piano black. And then I wish there was an Oriforce crystal here to shift with instead of that.
Get out of here. Don't mess up my
minor
lovely Polestar 3. You can't say anything bad about this car, okay?
Okay, I'll go hide in the Polestar 4. Have fun.
Okay, guys, about to jump in. But one thing, Jordan, if you can come over here and film the seat bottom here, one thing I've noticed on Polestar 3, even when I filmed it, was just this material is pretty loose. And you can see this is a pretty brand new car. It only has 500 miles on it. And we're already starting to see some creasing here. And this has been a problem as well on the natural leather from Volvo as well. So that's just something that I think you're going to have to deal with, unfortunately, is just some creases in the seat. It's not going to look good over time. I'm not really sure there's any way around it, to be honest. So to adjust the driver's seat, I'm going to go here, driver adjustments. Then I can use the seat controls to get all dialed in. Jordan, how's the back seat?
I mean, very spacious. I'm plenty good back here.
Hell yeah. So we're just going to drive it briefly. I would like to just jump on the highway, but I don't know where we're going to go where there's no traffic. But I'm thinking...
That's true. It's a weekday at 4:30.
This is like the worst time to drive the car. But maybe what we can do is we can go down here and then up and over, do like a little loop. So this is just a very initial first drive of the car. And we'll go through the settings here in just a moment, but I think I have it set to how I want. Pretty good turning radius for something this long. Have to say it's not amazing, but it's a slow rack as well. I mean, look how much this is, almost 2.5 turns lock to lock. Wow. Something like that. So it's not like your traditional sporty car, which would be 2 turns lock to lock, but it all depends on how it is on center. And I watched my friend Chris Rifa's video, who has a great YouTube channel who covers Volvo and Polestar stuff very closely. And Chris Rifa said that he was blown away with the handling on this car. We're not going to be able to test that today. We're really going to be in the city, but we have everything set to comfort mode, light steering, and 1 pedal drive. I'm just going to set to standard. You can see it ramp in regen and come very smoothly to a stop.
Very nice. That's
one thing I've noticed driving the Polestar 2 around as well the last couple days, is just how nicely calibrated their 1 pedal driving is. It's really, really done well. So I think I'm just going to set this so I can see where we need to go. Loving the Google Maps situation. Liking the pedal calibration as well. Feels great. Steering super light. Exactly what I'd be looking for just driving around. And the view out the front, the side, the frameless mirrors are awesome. Everything about just the initial feeling of this car is great. Now, I just want to point out to you here, Jordan, there's a purple G-Wagon. Brabus.
Wow. This is Cherry Creek for you.
Why is that in Colorado? Don't build G-Wagons for style. Build them for off-road. We have the place so you can at least enjoy them.
That one never sees rain.
I can't wait for the electric G to come out and everyone starts modifying them. And I hope someone does like a hardcore electric G off-road build. That'd be awesome. That's what I would do. So yeah, actually heading out onto a normal road here. The ride initially is very quiet and very comfortable. This is way smoother on these initial bumps than I was thinking, because Polestar 1 is incredibly stiff. Polestar 2 is pretty stiff, especially when you get the performance pack. And here, having the performance pack of the 3, a completely new, completely different character right off the bat. Jordan, your impression, just inching it around. This is not even close to the other Polestars. Would you agree?
Agreed. This air suspension rides very nicely. I mean, I'm feeling slightly executive back here, including the legroom and everything. And so I'm pretty thrilled, because the back seat sometimes is compromised and the front seat sometimes is fine. We've seen that in the first gen Rivian R1S, for example. But yeah, this is very cozy.
Yeah, something about the seating position, the seats feel great, the steering wheel, I can't get over how much I love this sort of firm, non-padded steering wheel. It just is awesome. Throttle response just tipping into it nice, hitting pretty aggressive manholes going through there as well. And you can tell they could make it softer, and I'm pretty sure they do tune the air suspension differently for performance and non-performance, just like little setting changes, but hardware wise it's pretty close to being the same, dual motor and performance. The one thing this car does have that's unique, at least in the segment, is actual mechanical torque vectoring, Jordan.
That's impressive.
So it has a dual clutch system in the back that can overdrive the outside wheel. And they're wet clutches so they don't wear down or anything like that. But it's very similar to like the Magna developed system that's in the Golf R and Audi RS3 in terms of mechanical construction. I don't know if it is that system or if it's a bespoke system or what supplier makes it, but it's really cool that you can, rather than just doing, torque vectoring by braking the wheel or having individual motors on the back like a Rivian R1S would have, this does it mechanically, which is my preference, because then you can, at least in an off-road situation, sometimes electric motors struggle with stall torque. You can help transfer the torque laterally cross car. Seems nice. But just doing the day-to-day drive, not even driving sporty, I am so blown away by how completely isolated I feel in here and how nice the ride is. This is everything I was hoping it would be in the day-to-day.
Which is good. I mean, perfect daily, and we have a little bit of noise from the outside, but not very much, and you throw on any amount of music from that Bowers & Wilkins.
The stupid window switch. I just rolled down the back window by accident, but we do have double pane up front.
That's nice.
Which I'm not sure makes all the difference in the world, because BMW iX, which is one of the quietest cars we've ever tested, Jordan, is single pane.
Interesting.
Yeah, same with the Spectre, actually.
Wow. So it's not all about that.
I don't remember Spectre, to be completely honest, but I'm pretty sure it was single pane. Loving the steering ratio. I mentioned it was slow, but I don't mind it.
Yeah.
And the one pedal driving is good. You can see even just creeping up here, it's not jarring. I can just tip into it and roll it forward. Automatically, the 360 cams popped up.
Wow.
Wow.
You look
cool.
tiny.
Yeah, we look at the largest Acura ever. The Godzilla Acura. Wow. That's really funny. And the Toyota back there. Look at this thing, Jordan. That's so funny.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, I like it. That's neat. I wonder if we have service in this car to do the routing stuff.
You might have to close the camera first.
Yeah, there we go. But it still says offline.
So we may not have actual connectivity.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sure the route planning works the same as Polestar too, which is fine. It's like targets 10% arrivals and then makes you charge just enough to get to the next station. It works pretty well. You can optimize it a bit more, or you can just listen to it, and it does a pretty good job of picking stations. Sometimes it's like, we'll bring you to the charge point station instead of the EA nearby, and you can get a little bit more speed at EA, but whatever. It's close enough. So the material inside on the seats is, I think, the one drawback on the longevity of them, Jordan, but you ignore that for a minute and you say, okay, you've got a rockin' sound system, you've got great one pedal driving, you've got a great style vehicle. The only questions left really for me to just, again, I think charging performance probably could be improved, but 250 kilowatts is great. If you can get that on a supercharger, that remains to be seen. The ride quality is way smoother than I thought it was going to be. We do have a little bit of waft, but it doesn't have the torque like the e-tron, because this is a pretty beat up road. It's doing really well. So the last things we really need to check are the acceleration of the car, the handling characteristics, which we're not going to get into today really at all, and the driver assistance. But I'll let you talk just for a minute, Jordan, on sort of the full experience up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the main pillars really are the software experience, which this seems to excel at. The ride quality, like you said, the Colorado roads are very terrible, notoriously terrible. And this makes me think I'd rather be in this than any Polestar 2 or 1 or many other vehicles in that case. And even though it's got big 22s on it, I would be curious to see how it would ride with like smaller wheels, slightly bigger sidewalls, like maybe the kind of off-road spec. I could see people putting some all-terrain tires on this thing. And
so I have it on auto steer at the moment.
It's working?
And it's working on even a B road like this.
I mean, that's another pillar.
Yellow light, but look at that. And it gives me my power and regen output.
Nice.
What's interesting is, in Polestar 1 and 2, when you hit this button once, it goes up by 5 miles per hour.
Yeah.
This goes up by 1 mile per hour.
And so I guess you click and hold
Then
to
you
do
push
5.
and hold to do 5.
Oh, which I prefer that.
I prefer this too. It's always annoying in the other cars. But
Yeah.
but again, brings us back to the Polestar brand not coming to a decision on how a car should be made.
But I guess they're progressing in that. Like the older cars had what we just talked about as being not our preference. So
I'm
maybe
not
Polestar
sure
4 will do that as well.
How to cancel cruise other than just hitting the brakes, which, sorry for the jerky movement there. Brake pedal felt pretty good, actually. Ioniq 6, someone bought one.
Wow.
That's
This looks
cool.
way better.
Yeah, oh my gosh. But you get an incredible lease deal on that.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll just kind of pop on I-25 right over here, Jordan, which was the original plan, come back up, and then we'll circle back. So we'll meet you guys when we can get a little acceleration run in, when we're, out of the city and a legal, safe place to do it. And that's the one concern, because it makes similar power to like a Model 3 performance or Model Y performance, but it's heavier. This car weighs a lot.
5,700
Yeah,
pounds.
that's not good. The weight is not good. But just initially driving it around here, I think that might actually lead to a really nice ride quality.
Yeah, it's not always bad.
Yeah, weight isn't always bad.
And you got a decent amount of battery as well. Like I mentioned, it weighs the same as the VinFast, but the VinFast has less battery. So
Okay, so we have some room just to hit it really quick, just to get a quick taste. Ready, Jordan?
yep.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that feels good.
That feels great. And I like how soft it is in this suspension setting, and the nose picks up, which adds to the experience.
Yeah.
So, okay, my concerns about power are gone. That's fine. That's great.
And it's 380 kilowatts total, which is split between 180 in the front permanent magnet, 200 in the rear permanent magnet.
Yep, so it's a rear bias system, which I really am
fantastic.
happy to see that. Just to zoom around the city, actually, just nice.
Good body control.
Yeah, Rivian
not-
Amazon
Not
van.
rolly.
Yeah, that didn't feel bad at all. It's a slightly jarring on the big impacts, but we
Yep.
also are on 22-inch wheels.
Right.
So if you were to run the taller tire on the non-performance pack, I think that would take away that initial jarring.
yeah,
movement.
I would do smaller wheel and all-terrain bigger tires, and this would be my Colorado car.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good ground clearance. It's got that mechanical diff situation going on in the rear.
Yeah, I want to try this on snow, off-road, on track, the usual.
So Polestar did a snow and ice event for this car in Sweden.
Yeah.
We didn't get invited to that.
Tom went to that.
Tom went to that. Now, why didn't we go to that? What Polestar, come on. That was like an event made for us. I emailed them about that, by the way. They're like, oh, we're really sorry. But that's okay. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're getting to drive the car now, which is wonderful. Okay, guys, we are going to just firm up the car a little bit. I'm putting it into nimble mode. We're going to jump on to the highway. Actually, let's just go. Oh my gosh, so many settings. ESC Sport mode. Everyone ready? Send it. Seems to do some power limiting in the corner. I noticed Chris Rifa mentioned that, and it felt that way as well. But it's almost like the rear diff is doing some weird stuff. We have a launching opportunity here right up to highway speeds legally. So we have a red light, left foot hard on the brake, flooring it with the right. Let's go! Front motor works pretty hard. Really gives full power at 40 miles an hour. There's 60, and we're up to the speed limit.
Not
Dude,
bad.
you don't need really any more than that. I would be hesitant in 2024 in this market to put a performance badge on the car, though.
Yeah, this is like standard Model Y performance. Not performance mode, but
Yeah, it feels like Model Y long range.
Yeah. It's about the same number too, 4.5 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense then. We're coming into some traffic. This is important. I'm going to put everything back to super squishy mode because around the corner, it felt good. You could feel the outside rear tire kind of pushing a bit, but it also felt like it was pulling power, which was weird. And I noticed Chris mentioned that in his review. I was like, what is he talking about? And I'm like, yeah, that felt weird. Like I'm floored and it's not unlocking to give me everything. But perhaps on more flowing roads, in the nuanced way that the chassis can perform, this torque vectoring can really show up more. My Polestar 1 actually works that way, where if I'm partial throttle is where I feel most benefit from the torque vectoring in Polestar 1. So they don't tune anything to be too extreme. This is not a drift car or anything like that, but it certainly is going to be fine for most performance enthusiasts, I would say. And you'll probably feel some of that rear torque vectoring again under nuanced cornering. Like I said, everything is back into normal squishy mode. I'm going to put on the driver assistance system just by pulling down on that switch. We're going to raise the speed up to a little bit more than what we're doing now. And I don't really see a way to adjust our distance to the car in front at all. But one thing we can do is we can do auto lane change. So I'm going to hit the signal. Just pulled up. So left signal, it says lane change maneuver canceled. Someone came up in our mirror here. But I think it does actually do lane changes. Just testing it in lane, going around a corner here. Very nice. I'm going to, again, initiate a lane change. Here it goes, and it canceled. So there's no reason why it should have canceled there. That needs to be improved through software, and that is one thing I am slightly worried about with a lot of the driver assistance in this car. We are just going to exit here because there's legit stop traffic right over there. And I'm going to navigate back to Polestar Denver, about a 14-minute drive on the way back. But I got a good initial taste of what I was looking for. Really quiet on the highway, good enough driver assistance where it at least stays in the middle of the lane and keeps a distance to the car in front. Like I said, it's not immediately apparent to me right now how to adjust the distance, but I'm sure there is a setting coming, or it's in the system already to do that. And I think this is a car that they really will improve a lot of the safety systems on. Seems to be a capacitive wheel. I believe there's some sort of eye tracking as well in Polestar 3 that's capable. So the driver assistance portion of this should be and needs to be way better than the Polestar 2's pilot assist, which is god-awful driver assistance system.
Yeah,
where
we
it's
recently tested that and the Polestar 1, and it was pretty interesting to see how the systems were slightly different, but also neither were great.
Yeah, so it just deactivated. I need to spend a little bit more time on the system to really dial it in, but I would say this felt smoother and nicer, and we would require more time to dial it in. But the Polestar 2 and Polestar 1, sometimes you're just driving down the road and then it's like, whoop! Every exit, for example, just like, let's put you in a wall. Not good for a brand so focused on safety. So I would say that sums up our Polestar 3 first experience, Jordan.
I'm pretty thrilled. I mean, you had this, like we said, on a pedestal, and after driving it for a bit, granted you didn't do any canyons, which is a core competency in your daily driver needs.
Yep.
but
I actually get the feeling that it's going to be pretty good in the canyons.
Yeah.
Polestar 2 is incredible in the canyons.
And I mean, we've seen it come down a lot to tire setup and stuff, and the tires look pretty good on this, so yeah, I like it.
I really like it. Really, really like it.
I'm really curious to try Polestar 4 at some point. I've ridden in both, but again, they were very early prototypes back to back, but they felt very similar.
To me, no interest in Polestar 4. Because from my perspective,
Right.
that's going to cost considerably less. And so I think if you're looking for that high quality driving experience, that air suspension, that, the way that the ride can be tuned with adaptive damper plus air plus this torque vectoring, all of the cool stuff, big brakes, stuff like that, this has all of it, and Polestar 4 has none of that.
Yeah.
And so I think for what I'm looking for, which is something in that Macan EV range, this to me has a lot more personality than Macan EV. Probably not as good on a road trip, not as fast charging, all that stuff. Macan's really a long distance driver, but this is going to have a lot more room inside and certainly be, I think, a little bit less pretentious than driving a Porsche around.
Yeah, this just looks nice.
Yeah, this is cool. It's like driving Sweden around, even though it's built in China. And then the ones that we're getting should be built in the US. So it has no relation to Sweden.
So this is IKEA.
Yes, it's IKEA on wheels, but it feels way more premium than most of IKEA's offerings.
That's very true. Yep.
So I guess I came in with very high expectations. Like you mentioned, Jordan, I put this car on a pedestal. I loved it when I first toured it. I loved it again today after experiencing the software. And now driving it, it was not a letdown by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, it's way more comfortable, way quieter, way higher quality feeling of a ride than I was expecting, way nicer tuned one pedal driving, and that's coming out of EX30, which had one of the worst pedal tunings I've ever experienced. And again, I was like, oh man, they really messed up EX30. I hope they didn't mess up Polestar 3. And it's like, thankfully a whole nother team did this car.
Yeah.
So I'm pleased. At the end of all of this, I'm just like, I have no need for a car in this category personally.
But you kind of want it anyway.
But I really want it. Yeah, but I'm not going to get one. It's very expensive,
Right.
of course. But, you know, like if Alyssa's like, hey, let's swap the e-tron and this works for her.
Yeah.
This would be a really good contender. This is definitely the alternate choice, but it's actually maybe a better choice in this case than the competition. The thing with Polestar 2 is people buy that car because they hate Elon or hate Tesla, which is like most people I know who buy Polestar 2s. They only bought it because they just don't like Tesla and it's the alternative. This is the alternative, but it's better.
Yeah. I
to
love
like
it.
almost anything. One thing, Jordan, that I really have to do, we have to test the braking performance of the Polestar 3. We haven't done it yet. So right at the end of the video, I'm going to get up to road speed, jam on the brakes. Ready?
Go.
Okay, so it's not going to be a huge braking test, but I just want to feel the pedal. So, and let's pretend someone runs out in front of us. No one's behind us. Oh,
Stopped
wow.
on a dime.
Great braking power. The pedal was firm, not much travel. It's brake-by-wire. You can hear it click away. Makes all the noises Polestars typically make. Awesome braking response right there. Just the first application gives me all the confidence I'm looking for. Again, so much better than almost any car in the category from that brake response and feel. That was great. Yep, so there's the video. Can't say enough good things about it. I'm sure the more time I spend with it, I can find things to nitpick about and get annoyed with, but initially this is one of the best new cars I've driven, and this is just a very quick test drive experience.
Yeah, I had no complaints, just nitpicks, but everyone's gonna call them complaints.
Yeah, Jordan likes to complain. I didn't know people complained about you complaining.
It's like 3 people.
Oh, okay. Screw 'em.
Anyways, that's a Polestar 3.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on another one again soon. Shout out to Polestar Denver. Bye-bye. So guys, of course, phone as a key is the main key, but this is like the little valet key that they give you. It's just a wireless transponder, but it's small, it's nice, just in comparison to the old Polestar key, just so you can see, a lot smaller, but yeah, pretty cool. I like this.